Rachel, and I'm 20 years old. I work overnight shifts at a supermarket on the outskirts of a small town called Ridgefield in Alabama. Since I attend college part-time, the store is near farmland, and after midnight, it gets eerily quiet, with barely any customers. One Thursday night, I started in the men's clothing section, folding jeans and organizing displays. I usually wore my earbuds during these shifts, since there was rarely anyone around to tell me otherwise. At about 11:30 p.m., I looked up and saw a man standing just a few feet away. He held a pair of jeans and asked in a strange, raspy tone if we had that style and a different waist size. His voice felt wrong, like it echoed just a little too much. He looked to be in his mid-30s, but there was something off about him. His eyes were impossibly dark, like two pits of black, and his cap sat too low on his pale, almost gray face. His clothes seemed outdated, stiff, like he'd been walking around in them for decades. And there was a smell faint but cold, like damp concrete and mildew. I checked the sizes, but we didn't have the one he wanted. I apologized and said everything was out on the racks. He nodded slowly and turned to leave. As he placed the jeans back on the shelf, our eyes locked, just for a second, but I felt frozen. I shook it off and went back to folding. The store got quieter by the minute. Around 1 it started to feel like a ghost town. I moved on to restocking small appliances, coffee makers, toasters, air fryers. I had to wheel a cart full of boxes from the back room and down the aisles. While stacking a box, I noticed movement in the next aisle. I peered through the gaps between the shelves and saw someone standing motionless, watching. When I moved to look, the figure quickly turned away, but I recognized those eyes. It was that same man from earlier, but something didn't add up. No customer sticks around for 2 hours, especially without buying anything. And there was something unnatural about how still he stood. I pushed my cart through the next aisle to see if maybe I imagined it. It was him, still empty-handed, still staring. A knot formed in my stomach. I shelved the last of the boxes as quickly as I could and returned the cart to the back room. I lingered there, pretending to check inventory while scrolling through my phone, anything to stall going back out. Eventually, I moved to the grocery section, hoping it'd feel less isolated. I went into the dairy cooler to prep crates of milk and yogurt. The hum of the refrigeration units filled the space. Loud, constant, drowning out footsteps. Then the door slammed open. My heart skipped. I crouched behind 2 stacks of crates and peeked through the narrow gap. There he was, just inside the cooler. But now, something was different. The overhead light flickered as he stepped in. His feet made no sound, no weight. His body almost shimmered, slightly blurred around the edges, like heat rising off pavement. His breath didn't fog in the cold. He didn't seem to breathe at all. I ducked behind the shelves, hiding behind a heavy crate of eggs. I didn't move. I didn't even blink. Minutes passed. Silence. Then, I slowly lifted my head, and he was right there. His face now clearer sunken, deathly pale, and his eyes were black voids. Not pupils, not irises, just bottomless darkness. And he was smiling, that awful, twisted smile that looked stitched onto his face, as if fear fueled him, as if he'd been watching me for a long, long time. I screamed. He lunged forward, his ghostly hand reaching toward my mouth. I shoved the egg crate into him with all my strength. I bolted. I didn't look back. I sprinted through the aisles until I found Dale, an older guy from automotive. I could barely form sentences as I told him what happened. And then, the man appeared again, but now he looked perfectly normal. Solid, calm, claimed he was from corporate security, checking on night staff. Dale didn't question it. He just nodded, like it made sense. But I asked him directly, why had he chased me into the cooler? Why was he hiding? The man said, I didn't want to startle anyone. Sometimes fear spreads fast. He told me to return to appliances, as if he had authority. As he walked away, I demanded his name. He turned and said, Travis, then vanished down the aisle. The next morning, I called my manager, Janet. She was horrified. There was no Travis, no corporate check. Security footage showed him appearing and vanishing between aisles, never moving, just watching. Police found nothing. I work days now. I won't go near that store at night. But sometimes, when the dairy cooler lights flicker, I wonder if he's still there, watching, waiting, smiling.
If you ever want to see something truly unsettling, don't go wandering into haunted woods or old graveyards. Just spend a night at the Walmart off Hollow Creek Road, especially right before Black Friday. That's where I was last year, late at night, trying to grab a deal on a laptop. I'd promised my little sister I'd help her get one for school. Walmart was packed cart traffic jams, screaming kids, grown adults fighting over air fryers. By some miracle, I found the last laptop in the electronics section. As I reached for the box, a cold breeze brushed the back of my neck. I turned. A huge man stood behind me at Walmart, dirty flannel, pale bluish skin, and dead white eyes with no pupils. His voice was hollow. I need that. The lights flickered as his body shimmered like static. Nobody else seemed to see him. I paid quickly and left. At home, a motion light clicked on, but the yard was empty. Minutes later, my car alarm blared non-stop. Outside, a black car idled down the block, engine running, someone watching. I felt it, something was wrong. I shut the door and locked it. "Mom," I said, nudging her awake. "I think someone followed me home." She came downstairs and looked through the peephole. Then she gasped, pulled away, and clutched my arm. I looked. He was on our porch. The same man, standing completely still, that flannel shirt soaked in filth. His skin was worse now, blotchy, blue, almost decomposed. His mouth was hanging slightly open, and his head was tilted just a little too far to one side. Like a corpse, someone tried to pose upright. Then the doorknob began to turn slowly, clicking softly. I shouted for Mom to call 911, and my sister came running out of her room, panicked. The man was still outside, motionless. Then bang, bang, bang. His fists slammed the door so hard the wall shook. The pounding stopped as suddenly as it started. Silence. Long, heavy silence. Then, from the side of the house, glass shattered. The window in the den exploded inward. I shoved my family upstairs, ran to the den, and slammed the door shut behind me. My heart was thudding in my ears. Then the temperature dropped, the lights dimmed, and the room felt like it bent inward, as if the walls were tightening. The shadows shifted. Something began to take form near the couch. First it looked like smoke, then like water moving in reverse. And then, there he was inside the house, in the very room with me. No sound, no warning, just standing there, watching with hollow eyes. His face was sunken deep, jaw hanging loose as if it could unhinge forever. One eye was a bottomless black void that seemed to swallow the light. His soaked, rotting flesh dripped onto the floor in slow, thick drops. But he didn't walk, glided, weightless and silent, like a shadow drifting on cold air. He opened his mouth impossibly wide, but no scream escaped, only a breath so cold it burned deep into my bones, carrying a rancid stench of death and decay. The world around me grew heavy, suffocating. Then, a voice unspoken but felt whispered through the shadows, "You shouldn't have taken it." The lights flared once more, and just like that, he vanished. But the cold, the smell, and the dread those stayed. He never truly left. And then sirens. Red and blue lights spilled across the curtains. In a blink, he was gone. The officers found nothing. No shattered glass, no muddy footprints, no man, just the laptop, still sitting unopened on the living room table. They told us maybe I had dreamed it, maybe stress or exhaustion. But I know what I saw. I know what followed me home. I returned the laptop the next morning. So laugh all you want at the chaos in Walmart, joke about the crazies, but if one of them doesn't quite look alive and no one else seems to notice them, walk away. Because sometimes what you take in a store doesn't belong to the living, and it will come back for you. And the moral of the story is, not all monsters hide in the dark, some shop beside you.